As Catholic homeschoolers, it is our primary job to help raise our children to be wonderful people in this world, to be educated well enough to go out and thrive in this world, but also to be people of character and to become great saints one day, God willing. In this video, I'd like to share with you 10 ways to help your children grow in character. And these are going to be ways that are going to help you as well. So listen carefully. My name is Emily Brown, and I am a mom of 7 homeschooled children, all of whom are active, practicing Catholics. I'm also a Catholic life coach for homeschooling moms who want to have more peace and more joy and who want to enjoy this call from God to homeschool your children even more. You can find out all the details about my work as a Catholic life coach in the link below this video. But for now, let's dive into 10 ways that you can start raising children of character. All right, the number one thing I want to encourage you to do, even if there's nothing else you take away from this video, the number one thing that I want to encourage you to start doing right now, this very second, to start raising children of good moral character is to start assuming the best in them. Now listen, I know this can be really, really hard, especially if you've had lying or sneaking or anything else going on in your relationship with this kid. But I want to offer that if you go in assuming the worst, then that is exactly what they're going to start living up to. And if you can start assuming the best in them, then you will start having clearer communication with them and you will get more information out of every interaction that you need to make good parenting choices. If you go in assuming the worst, you're going to make assumptions based on the worst case scenario, which may or may not be accurate. So if you get nothing else out of this video today, please start assuming the best in your children and start seeing what changes in your relationships and interactions with them. All right, the second thing to change, if you haven't done this already, to start raising kids of character is to set boundaries. I know that this is a very big topic. I coach on it every single week in Happy Holy Mama. We talk about boundaries, we talk about consequences, especially when it comes to screens. So please know you are not alone in this. You are in very, very good company. Thousands and thousands of your Catholic homeschooling colleagues struggle with this as well. So the way that you set boundaries is to decide what you want ahead of time, not trying to do it in the moment. And I have an entire lesson. And again, I coach on this every single week in Happy Holy Mama. So if you want to know more, come and work with me and I will help you learn how to set boundaries for your kids. But if you aren't doing that yet, that is the number 2 thing to try after assuming the best in your kids. The second thing to start doing with your kids is to start setting boundaries, because having 0 boundaries is not loving. I know a lot of you might think that it is, but it's not. So having boundaries for them allows them to know what they can do, what they can't do, and exactly what to expect on the other side of unwanted behavior. And that those boundaries provide so much freedom to work within for your kids. And it helps to create more internal safety for them and internal safety for your home so that they can actually have more freedom and bandwidth to learn and to grow in character as well as in their education. Which leads into the third thing, to start raising kids of character, is to decide ahead of time what your acceptable exceptions are going to be for your boundaries. You want to know what those are ahead of time as much as you possibly can so that it limits how much negotiating you have to do, not just with your kids, but also with yourself. Because as a parent, we go through a lot of negotiating internally about what we're going to allow and what we're not going to allow, and if we're going to be the nice parent or not. And there's a lot of internal noise and chaos that goes on anytime we have different exceptions pop up if we haven't thought about those ahead of time. So the number one thing to do with boundaries is going to be to decide them ahead of time, and then to follow that again is deciding ahead of time what your allowed exceptions are going to be. All right, another thing to try with your kids to help them have more character and to start building their character is actually to follow through with what you say you're going to do, especially if you do allowance with your children for their chores. So if you have decided to do allowance with your chores but you're somebody who doesn't remember to follow through with that, that actually teaches them to not trust you, that you're not going to follow through with what you say you're going to do. And it doesn't allow them to develop that safety that they need with you as their parent in order to develop the character that they need to be a trustworthy adult someday. And so when you are choosing whether or not you're going to do allowance with your kids, especially when they get into the teenage years, if you choose to do it, please make sure that you are following through and paying your workers their fair wages. All right, the next thing to try with your kids to help them develop more character is to require do-overs if they ever miss the mark. Maybe that's missing the mark with work itself, and you can try that again, or it could be with a chore and you can try that again, or with an attitude. If they're having a negative attitude with you and it's something that you would like to have them try again, what you can do is you can ask or require a do-over. The best way to start with do-overs is to assume that your child just doesn't know how they're sounding or how they're coming across. Again, this goes back to assuming the best in your child. It's so much easier to connect with them and have them try again if you can assume that they just don't know that they're sounding disrespectful, and you can let them know that, hey, in case you didn't know, you sound a little disrespectful right now. I know that that's not what you would mean to do, and so I'd like for you to try again with the voice that you would like me to hear instead. It really can be that calm and that neutral. And when you do that and you offer the do-over, it's going to help them really check how they are sounding, get to know what that feels like in their own body so that they catch it a little bit sooner next time. And that is going to help them develop the character that they need to be someone who can lead with calm and with respect, and to recognize when they mess up, and to develop the skills of being able to catch that themselves and do it over again for themselves along the way as you continue to train them in building their character. The best way to do this is when you lead with respect. And this is going to be the next thing to try with your kids to help them to grow in character, is when you can lead with respect, no matter what's going on. The thing that I hear a lot is that the child needs to earn respect. And I want to argue that that is never the case. It is never true that someone else has to be respectful in order for you to be respectful first or back. Respect is an emotion that comes from inside of you. It comes from inside your brain and is an emotion you can feel in your body. And no one in the world is going to be in charge of how you feel respect. And that is something that you can do for yourself, because that's just who you want to be. And so if you want to raise kids of character, I want to encourage you to practice the character trait of respect and leading with respect, regardless of how your child is talking to you or how they're showing up. You want to model it and lead by example, which for every single one of the things I'm offering today is going to be the number one thing that is going to be super effective for your kids in learning how to be people of character, is if you are modeling it and leading by example. So if you mess up, ask for a do-over. If you are not leading with respect and you miss the mark on that, ask for a do-over. If you break your own boundaries with yourself, admit that and show them how to do it differently and to do it better. And leading by example is going to be one of the very best ways to help them learn how to do all of this for themselves. And as you get to know how to do that for yourself, you're going to be able to teach it to them as well. All right, the next thing to try is to spend time with them just for their sake, not for what you need them to do or what they can do for you, but just to spend time with them. And I know that this can be really challenging, especially if you have a bunch of kids like I do. It can be really hard to find time for every single kid, but I want to offer, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you can make time to connect with each and every one of your children every single day. And if you legitimately don't have time for that, then your life is out of order. Okay, it's out of right order. In which case you need to take a hard look at what you have on your calendar every single day, including the stuff that's not on your calendar, including scrolling on your phone or being distracted on the internet or angry cleaning or any of those things. We spend a lot of time doing those things unintentionally that we could be putting towards something more intentional, like building relationship with our kids. Again, helping them to know that they are loved and valued just for who they are is going to go a very long way in helping them develop their character. All right, another thing to try with them is to value what they value, even if you don't get it. Now, this is really hard if your kids just want to rattle on about video games and all the little nitty gritty details about the video games that they're into, or maybe they're really into a specific kind of animal or crafting, and you're just not into any of that and you have other things that you would rather be doing. I promise that if you can listen to them and spend time with them and just really value what they value, it will go so much farther for your relationship, and they are going to know that, again, they are valued just for who they are. Is going to help them develop more character with self-trust and with open interest and passion toward things, instead of all of those things feeling stifled and unwanted. All right, the last thing I'm going to offer you today to help your kids grow in character is to start listening to your kids more than you talk, and start seeing their world and the world that you interact with them through from their perspective. And the way that this is going to help them grow in character, it doesn't mean that you change your mind or give in to something that they're arguing with you about, but seeing it from their perspective helps you to connect with them. It helps them to know that they are seen, that they are heard, that they what they value is important. And if you can let go of any assumptions or judgments you have about them or about what they're doing, what they're asking for, it's going to allow you to remove all of that, the filter you're seeing your kids through with those judgments, and it's going to allow you to see your beloved child. It's going to help them feel seen, feel heard, feel wanted. And when you can listen more than you talk, you're going to learn so much more than you knew before, which is going to help you make better decisions. It's going to help you know when a teaching moment is appropriate and when it's appropriate to set that down and just connect with your child for who they are. And when you can take time to do that, which I know can be very challenging because we do have very full and busy lives, but when you can take time to do that, then the relationship you build with your child is going to help them develop the character that they need so much faster than almost anything else out there that you could train them to do. All right, friends, now listen, I know that these are really, really hard, and I probably didn't share anything with you that you didn't already know. But the reason that this is hard for you, or could potentially be hard for you, is because of some of those internal struggles with your own character or potential character flaws that you might struggle with. And these might be vices that you struggle with, especially if it's your own negative self-talk or maybe feeling poorly about yourself and what you think you're capable of. But none of that is going to help you or your kids grow in virtue or character. And so all of these things are going to be things that I want to invite you to start practicing for yourself first. And you can invite your kids into practicing those with you alongside of you. You only have to be like half a step ahead of your kid in order to teach them what you've learned so far. All right, listen, friends, I know I just gave you a ton to work on. If you would like help learning how to do these 10 character growth skills for yourself and learn how to apply them to your kids, please come join me in the Happy Holy Mama membership. Right now, for the rest of February, we're continuing our time stewardship challenge where I am teaching and coaching every single week on different time management skills and concepts that every single mom needs to learn and grow in. So we're talking about follow through and consistency and simplifying and handling failure better, motivation and chores and decision making, just to name a few of the concepts that we cover every single week. For Lent, we're going to be diving into what I'm calling the Beloved series. And in Beloved, this is an 8-week Lent study where we're going to be working very intentionally, very deeply on working on your relationship and healing your relationship with yourself and with our Lord. We're going to be looking at that through the lens of relationship, identity, and mission. We're going to be talking about how this impacts you and your relationship with yourself, how you speak to yourself and how you think about yourself, and how you speak about yourself, your relationship with our Heavenly Father, and how that impacts your relationship in your marriage, your parenting, and of course, your homeschooling. In Beloved, we're going to be spending every single week diving deep into all the ways to put and keep your life in right order from here on out. You can join right now and continue on the Time Stewardship Challenge with us. You can jump in. It's never too late to get started. And then you'll also be all ready to go inside Happy Holy Mama and oriented to our member portal and have access to every single thing we're going to be doing when we begin the Beloved series at Lent, which is going to be the week of March 5th. You can get the links for everything I've talked about today below this video. And while you're down there, please like and subscribe to this channel so that you can get notified every single month when I release new life coaching content geared specifically to your Catholic homeschooling lifestyle. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I'm praying for you. God bless.